How to be confident. This is something that many people have trouble with. We don't know how to be confident in ourselves. The reason for not being able to be confident is because we don't know who we are. The way we live our lives is the way that some people expect us to live our life. It's all about the others' expectations. We are not really living our life based on our true capabilities, on our true inner talents, on our own true freedom. Basically, we are just machinery created by the people outside us. That's why we are so confused. We feel like we are getting stuck in a rut. The reason why some of you might stay in a job is because that's what you think people expect you to do. Because that's the conventional life, that you have to get stuck in a cubicle. But there are other alternatives. There are other occupations that might ring true to your inner heart. But because you always get stuck to these conventional methods, you don't dare to look for alternative ways. Because these alternative ways are usually very secluded. Because not many people go that way. These many people are also like you. They are also afraid of taking the less trodden path. Because this path, there are very few people. People always look for the crowds, for the most crowded areas, because they think that that's the most beautiful place to be, the safest, right? When you go to a city, you always look for the crowded areas when you're traveling, because where these people are, there is usually the biggest lighting, the best lighting in the city, right? That's the safest area, and you want to be there. But again, it doesn't have to be that way. There might be some other areas in that city that probably it's not really well known, but it's actually more beautiful. It's possible. But unless you go out on your own ways to discover that, that place will stay concealed. And just like that, your life will also be concealed, because you don't dare to look for the alternative ways. And in this video, I'm not talking about the grand, big stuff, the grand ambitions of what you're supposed to do, the purpose of your life. It can be that way, but I'm also talking about the simple things. How you say some things, what you do, how you speak. Is it you, or is it someone else's voice? Is it coming from your own freedom, or is it coming from other people's expectations? The way I see people interacting these days, it's very generic. Sometimes I've heard them long enough, so many times before, that I already know what's going to come out of their mouths, even before they speak, because I could tell. It's all automatic. Just looking at their eyes, I already can tell that it is not their soul coming through their eyes. There is no excitement. They are asleep. Do you know how you've been hearing this discussions of people being asleep, let me tell you very simply. The people who are not awake and who are asleep, they basically are missing one thing. They're missing energy. They're missing inspiration. And if we go deeper again, this inspiration is coming from being your own authentic self. Because there is nothing more exciting than being yourself right now. What kind of personality can you embody that makes you the most exciting? That's how we should embody in every moment of our lives. But unfortunately, we are only living like that only 1% of the time. The other 99%, we're just living someone else's expectations. That's why we are all bored. In the office, in the shops, we're just walking automatically, just doing what other people tell us to do. That's why we are freaking bored. We are bored shitless out of our minds because everybody else, we see the same color, the same flavor, eating the same food, enjoying the same things, saying the same generic stuff. There is nothing real there. You can tell by the way how people are authentic. They are very relaxed and comfortable. They don't try to be somebody they're not. They just try to become who they really are. They don't care about being fake or being cool. For them, they have the confidence that being themselves is already cool in some way. Because they appreciate. They're confident that there's nothing wrong with them. It's okay to be themselves. They realize this. That's why they can become relaxed. That's why I started this video with the question of how to be confident, massively confident, that is everlasting and doesn't rely on some books that you have to memorize, some scriptures that you have to keep chanting over and over again in your mind. Because it is your own knowing of yourself. It is the discovery of your true self. If you can get to that point, you don't need any self-help books. You just know how to become yourself. Because that's the only way you should be. That's the only way you are at your best. That's where the most energy will come from. By being yourself. And the good thing about inspiring yourself this way, by becoming yourself, is you can also inspire other people like this. People are intuitive beings. Right? The way you interact people, they have lived so much, right? They have learned a few things about you already, about how human beings are actually acting in the same way, whether you are in South America or in South Asia or somewhere else, all human beings are acting the same way, and they have learned. That's why they have become so intuitive. They can look through your eyes and they already can tell what kind of personality you are. So they can tell whether you're coming from a place of creativity and inspiration, or whether you're saying something or doing something from a place of automatic boredom or death. I like to call boredom death, because when you're not being yourself, when you're being so utterly boring and generic, you're actually like a cold, deathly hello, just stale. There is no flowering, no fragrance to your being. And when you're like this, it will be infectious to other people. Death will spread, and the other people will follow suit. They will also become automatic. They will see that you are trapped inside the matrix, and therefore it will spread to them, and thus they will keep acting inside the same matrix. But otherwise, you can also be the complete opposite. You can also be inspired, speaking from your own truth of who you really are. That you are free to say almost anything. And you can be absolutely confident in that. And the way you transmit this infectious energy, it will also be transmitted to other people. The people will be inspired that it reminds them that they can actually return back to their original state of excitement, inspiration, and enthusiasm. So, don't try to become somebody else. It's boring and it's making you unconfident, making you so insecure about yourself. Just be your exciting self. Remember when you were a little kid? You were living life as if you don't care about other people's expectations, because those expectations are not living inside your head rent-free. All inside your head is all about fun, excitement, adventure, inspiration, creativity, playfulness, friendships, love, all these good things. If you're ever lost, just go back to your childhood and just remember how you were back then. And then, that is the answer to all your problems. That is my answer to being confident. And the good thing about this is confidence is actually an absolutely easy thing to do. It is not something coming from the books. It is never from the books. Books, right? When you read something and they tell you it's the best-selling book by the best-selling author, that kind of makes that book special. That kind of packages something in a more colorful way. That kind of tells you that you should buy that book and you should listen to what everything this book says. But actually, you're just getting trapped inside the same matrix deeper and deeper again. When you're lost, when you have read so many books that you have found them so useless, it's time to go back to your own gospel. It's going to be a lonely path at times. But that's the only path that's only there for you in the first place. And at first, it might be so lonesome. It can be depressing. But after you go on that journey, you will find some friends who are also struggling towards the same freedom that you're striving for. And then you will find the company of those men, and you won't be as lonely as before because you have been true to yourself. That's how real, authentic friends are made. When one person is just being authentic and the other person is also minding their own business, and when the same interests collide, they find each other. That's where real friendships are created. Not the usual friendships that we usually associate ourselves with these days. These days, we go to a party and we expect one another to be friendly. We expect one another to understand what our interests like, what our interests are like, that we should have the same hobbies, that we should smile, right? But why should we smile when it's not really us that wants to smile? That's the point that I'm making here. Why should we smile when it's not us that smiles? What's forcing us to be that way? That's the dangerous path of being lost inside this matrix of living other people's expectations. The friendships, those are not real friendships when you expect another person to behave in the way that you prefer. Because sooner or later, that mask will just peel off, will just fall away, because it's not themselves. And you're not allowing them to be themselves. And how can you enjoy yourself when you are in the company of those people who don't enjoy themselves too? What you get is two people not enjoying themselves. How can you have a fulfilling life? How can you have friends that inspire you in such an interaction? Alright guys, I hope you find this video useful, and if you do, then it's always great that you can click the like button, share, and maybe subscribe, and hopefully I can make something useful in this video. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again soon.